And so what is the state of the union of this war? We're in July now. I guess there's not a huge window of actual fighting in this type of territory because of the winter and then the muds, etc. But where are we right now? Because again, I referenced in the intro the possibility of cruise missiles being offered. We saw some of these old weapons being supplied by the U.S. But what kind of is the state right now? How do you read the war at this point?
Well, let's look at the Russian side first. The Russians are actually attacking up in the northeastern corner of this long line of defense that is sort of shaped like a banana in southern Ukraine. And they've made a lot of progress, aiming in the direction, generally speaking, of Liman in eastern Ukraine, but really towards Slavyansk. And those are road networks that would lead Russian forces on the offensive to go all the way to Kharkov very quickly, and actually to strike even further west and north towards Kharkov, or to swing around behind the Ukrainian forces that are down south. Those forces came out of the Beograd area. There's always been a tank army down there, along with a lot of other Russian forces that have yet to really be employed. And this offensive is being very successful right now. At the same time, the Ukrainians in small numbers, all up and down the line, have continued to launch attacks, all with no success at all, catastrophic losses. So the Russians are in good shape. They've taken some losses, but their losses are perhaps in the hundreds, maybe 1,000 wounded total. Nothing significant or severe that the Russians cannot absorb. The Ukrainian side's in a very different position. They were built up and pushed, I think, to launch these counteroffensives or counterattacks up and down the line to prove that there was still life in Ukraine, to attract more support. I think the rationale for it was much more political than military. And the losses they've sustained are horrific. The latest figures I've seen, somewhere is between 24 and 26,000 Ukrainian soldiers have died just within the last month as a result of these counterattacks. How many thousands of wounded have been added to the numbers that already exist, we don't know. I recently listened to someone talk about the numbers of dead lying all over eastern Ukraine, mostly Ukrainian soldiers, some civilians, a few Russians, but overwhelmingly Ukrainian. I think the Ukrainian force is desperate and, frankly, on the point of disintegration. The morale over there is at an all-time low. I continue to hear these reports of there's low morale on the Russian side. I see no evidence for it, can't find any. As I said before, the only thing that I see is this desire to attack, win, and get this over with. But the Ukrainians they've suffered terribly. And the Poles that are working in Ukrainian uniform as part of the Ukrainian army, along with a few other units, are the only ones left that are willing to attack. Everyone else has said this is preposterous. They do not have the ability to punch through the security zone, which ranges from 15 to 25 kilometers in front of the main defensive belts. They've never reached the main defensive belts. And this is not a surprise. From the very beginning, people thought that you could build an army for high-end conventional warfare on the fly. It can't be done. Armies take years to develop, to build. Their culture has to evolve. They have to have an officer corps that evolves into a professional force. They need institutions that support the training, the equipping, and the organization. None of these things were in place. Now throwing new pieces of equipment, whether they're obsolete or relatively modern. The Storm Shadow missiles, I think is what it's called from the British. Those are very effective, and some of them have penetrated, though others have been shot down. But on the other hand, we've just announced that we're purchasing Hawk anti-aircraft missiles from Taiwan and shipping them to Ukraine. Well, I guess the threat to Taiwan isn't nearly as great as we thought it was. So now we're taking equipment that we've already sold to the Taiwanese. They're selling it back to us, shipping it to Ukraine. It's not going to make any difference. It's obsolete anyway. The Russian air defenses are superb, is the best word that I can come up with. There is no such thing as perfect integrated air defenses. Something will always get through, but overwhelmingly, they managed to shoot down HIMARS and all sorts of missiles. This isn't going to change anything. And I think that's the frustration that we saw in Mr. Zelensky. He was furious, angry, distraught. He thought that he was going to be embraced, that we were going to extend the nuclear umbrella per se to him by making him part of NATO. Although I personally don't have any faith in extended nuclear deterrence, but nevertheless, there are a lot of people that think it's still meaningful. He didn't get what he wanted. He's bitter. He's angry. The losses inside the country are horrific. It's only American cash that really sustains this Ukrainian state. It's on life support. And the humane thing would be to put an end to it and negotiate, but it's not going to happen. And I think that's really what is next on the agenda is in Moscow, in the discussions at high levels. I think they're going to finally say, unless we finish this and attack, go on the offensive, there will be no end. Because sitting here in the South and killing large numbers of Ukrainians has not persuaded the West, certainly not Washington, to abandon this folly.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.